Oh my God, you guys come in here, sit down, and shut the door. I know you're still reeling from the federal government dropping major the most emotionally charged offenses against Diddy. And I put my ear to the ground and I'm seeing what is being said. But here's the thing, we have to talk about, just keep your mind open, because at this point, we have to talk about everything, not just the things that we know, not just the things we want to believe, but what actually may be happening now. We need to talk about Diddy and how what the feds did might be his road to pardon. Okay, here's the truth. Everyone's whispering, but no one's saying outright did he cut a secret deal with the feds? I know. But hear me out. Just because the government well, okay, hear me out. Let me organize the thoughts. Let's get into this because the government just dropped all the state charges: kidnapping, attempted arson, aiding, smacks, trafficking gone, and all that's left are federal charges.
Present,
And if you've
and
been
no
paying
longer has a
attention, you
voice who
already
will
know
pursue
you can't be
justice for her
pardoned
accusation.
for state convictions, but
As
you
of
can
the
be
Aiken against
pardoned
Diddy,
for federal
no
ones.
expansion
And
of
our
the
president has
investigation,
signaled that
no
if he sees
isolation orders,
evidence Sean
no
Diddy
equipment
Combs was being
access,
treated
no
unfairly,
suspension of
he
attorney
would consider a
communication.
pardon. Those were his words, not mine. Google it. And I didn't want to believe the whispers at first, but y'all, they're getting louder. What if the feds want this case to be federal only? And what if did he gave them something or someone behind closed doors? And if so, what does this mean for justice, for the victims, and for the truth? Don't worry, y'all. I got the receipts. I got the legal play by play, and I'm going to walk you through everything the headlines won't tell you. Y'all, let's go. Okay, now just to catch you up to speed, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, late money prosecutors dropped some of the most dramatic charges against Sean Diddy Coleman's. You guys know that was the attempted kidnapping under California and New York law, attempted arson, and aiding SMEX trafficking. Okay, now officially they're calling it streamlining of jury instructions, but off the record, in back rooms, people are nervous, they're whispering, and they're wondering because this isn't just about legal strategy. This might be about a secret deal. Think about it. The state charges were the most graphic, most specific, and the hardest to erase with a pin stroke. You can't get a presidential pardon for state conviction, but for federal charges, you can. Okay, since they've erased all state and they only leave federal quest standing, you have to question did he hand over names, locations, or footage that helped build a bigger case? And is this the price of playing with power at this level? Protection in exchange for silence. Because here's the dangerous truth. If this was a quiet cooperation deal, it helps Diddy in more ways than one. First, it makes him look less dangerous. See, you guys, no kidnapping, no arson, just your friendly neighbor pervert. Second, it creates the appearance that the case is weakening, just appearance, softening public outrage, just in time for the defense's big finish, which is their closing argument. And third, and this is the part people are forgetting, it opens the door to a future pardon. Remember, federal crimes can be erased by a presidential signature, but state convictions sit so. The question becomes, did the federal government just remove the only thing standing between Diddy and a clean political escape? And while we're asking these questions, listen, because some people are like, oh, don't worry, the state's going to bring up charges. Well, I have a question. Where are the state prosecutors? Why haven't California and New York DA stepped up and said, we'll pursue those charges ourselves? Their silence speaks volumes, and I'm going to walk you through everything, whether it be possible for Diddy to cut a deal without public knowledge, how a presidential pardon could play out, and why the absence of state-level action right now is either strategy or surrender. You guys stay with me because once you understand this map, you'll see exactly what path they might be paving. Okay, let's walk you through this like it's a legal trademark. The feds dropped only state-based crimes, not federal attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding smacks, trafficking. They kept the federal recall, federal smacks, trafficking, and forced labor, obstruction, labor and obstruction of justice. Now, what's the legal
Present,
significance of
and
that
no
state
longer has a
crimes
voice who
can't
will
be
pursue
pardoned
justice
by
for
the
her
US
accusation.
president. Federal crimes can.
As
The
of the
fact
Aiken
that
against
only
Diddy,
unpardonable
no expansion
charges
of
were
the
removed
investigation,
raises the
no
question,
isolation
why
orders,
and why.
no equipment
Now
access,
some people
no
said,
suspension of
now,
attorney
here's the
communication.
thing, you have to keep in mind, these aren't state prosecutions, they're federal prosecutors trying to use state criminal statutes to help make their case. Now that was rare, it's legal. but it's also very messy. Why did they include them? Because sometimes state definitions cover gaps that federal law doesn't, especially when it comes to violent coercive conduct. So the $1 million question, if Diddy is cooperating, why drop the state-based counts? Well, here's the plausible cooperation logic. State law-based charges are easier to drop quietly. They aren't the headline federal charges like RICO and SMEX trafficking. Dropping them gives the fence a visible win without touching the big federal accounts, which the feds still need for leverage, and it signals progress in cooperation without confirming it. No paperwork has to be filed publicly at this stage, so they may have dropped. The drop charges may have been a symbolic trade-off. Help us with X, Y, and Z, and we'll make sure those state charges don't follow you after the trial. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people said, like, Robin, my girl Robin said, but wouldn't cooperation be on public record? Well, you guys, yes and no, or actually not yet, and sometimes not ever, depending on how the deal is structured. Cooperation agreements are often under seal to protect against active investigations, ongoing targets who might not know they're being watched, and safety of the cooperator. The public usually doesn't find out until sentencing. When the prosecution says Mr. provided substantial assistance, we recommend a lighter sentence under 5K 1.1. That's the federal formal snitch card. So right now, if Diddy is cooperating, they wouldn't want it to be on record again. Taking it to legal, deals with cooperators are often sealed under Rule 6E of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Grand jury materials, informant deals, and cooperation agreements can be kept secret for national security, safety, or investigative reasons. United States veto courts actually upheld, and this is a 1995 Second Circuit decision, so it rules this case. Courts upheld sealing cooperation deals to protect identities and preserve ongoing investigations. So, yes, Diddy could be cooperating without us ever seeing it publicly. And again, don't forget, cooperating with feds doesn't always look like testifying. It can mean providing names, documents, devices, and even helping decode encrypt evidence. In cases like Operation Varsity Blues, celebrities helped without testifying, but their cooperation was rewarded behind the scenes. This keeps reputations intact and protects the government's leverage in ongoing investigations. Now, the state may stay quiet on purpose. State prosecutors in New York and California have said nothing about refiling or pursuing these drop charges. Why? Possibilities. Let's go through them. The feds asks them to stand down during an ongoing broader federal probe if Diddy is helping build bigger cases. Filing state charges too early could expose cooperating witnesses, including Diddy, and political coordination between the DOG and the state AGs is common when elite defendants are involved. Now, this does mirror silent cooperation deals in major cases. Tekashi 69, he cooperated secretly. Feds minimized his charges. No early leaks. Public found out after sentencing. Let's also not forget Sammy the Bull Gravano's case. Murder charges dropped because he gave up the entire Gambino hierarchy. We see the pattern: drop some charges now, protect informant, cash out later. And let's also not forget that the presidential pardon angle is real.
Present, and no longer has a voice who will pursue justice for her accusation.
The former Illinois governor
As of the taken against Diddy, no expansion of the investigation, no isolation orders, no equipment access, no suspension of attorney communication.
Convicted on federal charges and keeps political connection strong. Trump or even a future president could wipe the all out away in the future. That's why the removal of state charges matters so much. There's also strategic optics. They are saying that a softened defendant makes pardon easier. There's no kidnapping, no arson, no physical violence and charges anymore. The public of shift from monster predator to music mogul who made mistakes. It's a softer image. It makes it easier for a future president to justify a pardon, especially if Diddy claims he was targeted or canceled. You guys, this is a gamble, but we have to be honest. If you look at legal precedences, we've seen it before. Similar federal simplifications were made in Young Thug's trial. The overcomplication led to chaos, and in the Harvey Weinstein retrial, feds narrowed the scope when cases got too emotionally driven or shaky. The strategy is go big or go home. But when you lose nuance, you also risk losing the jury. You guys, again, we are on edge. We're going into court today. They are going to have a legal battle from 12 Ocean to 5 Ocean. We're going to be in there covering everything. But again, this is all just theory, okay? Because nobody really knows what happened. But all we know is the feds just quietly removed the only charges that couldn't be erased by a president's pen, and no one's saying why. And did he give them names, documents, or passwords that deal could stay still forever? But what's not sealed is the fact that the state is saying silence may be the loudest clue yet. You guys listen. I'm going to be dropping a bunch of videos today. We're going to get into this. Let me know what you think. I'm going to have another video up probably by the time you are done listening to this. I will talk to you guys soon. Diddy's going down, but we need to make sense of what's going on. And I hope these videos are helping you along the way. I'll talk to you all soon.